Good evening and welcome to Oso Fumar Takes. This is our 332nd take, live from the Bradley Lone Star Studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show. We've done this a few times, and I'm so excited that we're doing it again tonight. We're doing a combination show with, of course, the Smoking Syndicate. We are doing a roundtable. It is roundtable number 22. But before we get to formal introductions of our panel of honor tonight, and the cigar that we're smoking, we do have to thank the people that make this show possible. And that, of course, is our sponsors. And tonight's show is sponsored by Drew Estate. Drew Estate has done it again. The Deadwood Girl with the Dominican Heart. Yes, Deadwood Tobacco Company by Drew Estate introduces Dominicana, a seductive new blend from Drew Estate. From the sun-drenched fields of the Dominican Republic to the dusty streets of Deadwood, a new vixen has arrived, and she's ready to steal your hearts. Deadwood Tobacco Company by Drew Estate is proud to unveil Dominicana, a cigar so seductive, so smooth that one sweet kiss from her Capadolce will pull you into her irresistible web. Easy to enjoy, but impossible to let go. Dominicana is poised to steal your heart. A traditional expression in our Deadwood Tobacco Company by Drew Estate portfolio, Dominicana represents a milestone for Drew Estate and a new chapter in their blending and cigar creation journey. This exotic beauty is a filler forward blend, putting the blending and focus purely on Dominican tobaccos inside. Crafted and rolled in Drew Estate's factory in Nicaragua, Dominicana shows off its Dominican heart with every single draw. So check out your Drew Diplomat retailer today and find out where you can get the Dominicana from Deadwood Tobacco Company by Drew Estate. And welcome, everyone. This is our 332nd take. I'm pleased to bring this show to you in conjunction with the Smoking Syndicate. We are doing Roundtable. Again, if you are checking us out on video broadcast, which we do live on Facebook nearly every Sunday night, 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. Our video broadcast is courtesy of our good friends at Foundation Cigar Company. Foundation Cigar. Nick Melillo began his career in the cigar industry at the age of 18, working in the cigar shop, the Calabash Shop, in his home state of Connecticut. He went on to work for a well-known cigar company, Drew Estate, where he developed some of the most popular blends. In 2015, he started Foundation Cigar Company to create unique and flavorful cigars that would appeal from everyone from the novice to the most experienced smoker. Check out Foundation Cigars today. And if you're listening to us wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, be sure that you download, subscribe, and review. Tonight's audio broadcast is courtesy of our friends at Gran Habano Cigars. Honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. Thanks to our good friends at Gran Habano Cigars. And welcome, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome in tonight's panel for El Oso Fumar take number 332, Smoking Syndicate's Roundtable number 22. These are our tonight's guests, brought to you by United Cigar. Smoke one today and start living United. Misters Bentley, Will Cooper, and Trip Waldrop. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Great to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Always good to get together with the gang.
Indeed, indeed. Bull Shark, how are we doing today?
Doing all right. Glad to get another round table in. Been too
For
long.
sure. For sure. This was I'm glad you know what, I'm glad you kind of pushed this one across the line, Ben, because I secretly kind of wanted to do this one for a long time, and you said, man, it was long overdue, so let's get it on the board, and I completely agree because I'm really stoked about it. So um I've got the specs in front of me, Ben. If you want me to go ahead and read it off, we can talk about the cigar that we'll be smoking tonight.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's see what we got.
All right. So for everyone out there, we are doing the Smoking Syndicate Roundtable number 22. So we are going to be I'll go over the rules, regulations, and all that here in a second, but we are going to be smoking the Cohiba Riviera Lancero, everybody. Yes, sir. STG's own Cohiba Riviera. And it is a fantastic looking smoke, and it hails from it's made actually at STG Esteli in Nicaragua. The wrapper is Mexican San Andres, and the binder is Honduran, undisclosed. But they have actually four types of leaves in the filler, if you can believe it or not, in the Lancero. Two from Honduras and two from Nicaragua. There is Condenga and Nestle from Nicaragua, and Yamastron and La Entrada from Honduras in the filler. It measures 7 inches by a 38 ring gauge. As I mentioned before, it's manufactured at STG Esteli, and looking forward to smoking this one tonight, gentlemen. So Um, initial thoughts on the Riviera before I kind of go into the rules, regulations, and we get this thing kicked off. Uh, Initial thoughts on it. Trip, Coop.
Uh, Mine has kind of a. Let me see if this shows up on camera. See that lump right there?
Ooh.
Mine has a bit of
Yeah.
a. It's not a tumor. A bit of a lump there. But I love the texture of Mexican San Andre. Like when I have a cigar with a good Mexican wrapper, I just love like that texture of it, man.
Nice.
That's weird. Yours looks extremely oily. Mine doesn't look oily at
Yeah,
all.
mine too.
Mine's
Oh
not.
wow.
Yeah.
Mine
Yours
also looks
is.
lighter than yours do too, actually.
Yeah, mine
Mine's
looks
in the middle.
like dark.
Mine's in the middle between Coops and Trips, and it has some oils, but it does not look as oily as Trips.
That's
No,
color
sure.
sorting for you,
this
boys.
one,
Yeah,
mine's kind of right in a. Yeah, it looks like all four of us have a different shade.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's interesting.
So a couple of facts about this cigar. Riviera is the first San Andreas under Cohiba. Riviera is the first box press under Cohiba. And this cigar is the first Lancero under Cohiba. And I'm saying STG's Cohiba here.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've never done box press San Andreas and Lancero till this line and this size.
Wow.
You know what's really interesting too is that I've smoked some other sizes in this blend. Um, and I mean Tripp's note of the toothiness of the toothiness of his wrapper, to put it lightly, and mine's toothy too.
Mine doesn't seem toothy.
Yeah, and that's what indicative of the other sizes. What I was going to say, it's interesting that the Lancero has
Yeah.
some a little bit more grit to it because the other sizes were so like had this very elegant, smooth sheen, oily wrappers that were, and that might be just because of the Vitola, obviously, but that's interesting that
Do
the smaller gauge
do we
is a little
blame this
different.
on Justin?
We
Yeah,
could,
of
we always
course.
could,
Yeah.
Why would we not?
but if
Well,
we
we,
I will
like it,
say,
if
but if
we
we like
like
it, if
it,
we like it, then like there's no point. You know,
so
it's
so
no, if we like it,
so
it's
so
Sean Williams.
So yeah,
right.
if everyone scores a 90 or above, it's all credit to Sean Williams. Anyone scores an 89 or lower, then, or actually, let's just do 88 or lower because 89s are good cigars. We gotta diffuse the
Yeah, we're
notion of
not
the
like
90.
some other sites. We're got honest reviews.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
would
Yeah,
say that
right.
like the Toro, I have the box of these in Toro, and it is remarkably different from this cigar.
Yeah,
They look oily, kind of like the Trip cigar, and they do have a much smoother wrapper, like you were saying, Bear. It's almost night and day difference. Not that this is ugly or nothing. I'm not saying that, but it's more
uh,
uniform. Either
it,
the wrapper's more
mm,
uniform, or the box press is more uniform.
Uh,
of-
yeah,
it could be mine is a show sample from PCA last year, I think.
so mine, I just literally picked one of these up, and this is a regular production cigar, by the way. It's not like a one and done limited. So they
Yeah.
do make
right.
these. Um, but Trip, that is a good point. But I'll
I
say
know
this:
Bear said his was from a box.
Yeah, I
I
bought a
Ben?
box. I bought a
But they
box a
shipped
year
those
ago.
right. They shipped those right after the show last year. It wasn't like there
Yeah,
was this long wait. So chances are what you got was from a production that was shipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was the same. It had the same 5 packs of the show that they sent out for the to the media, because
Yeah.
yeah,
that's where mine is coming from. I got a few packs of the Lanceros from General, and this is coming out on one of their packs that they sent. That's where mine came from.
Right.
Okay, so
But
ours aren't too far off then, Ben.
I don't think
no,
they're far
no,
off, but yeah, and I think, like I said, all of us have a different variant. It seems like of the color.
yeah.
yeah,
I had fun with this blend. I went pretty Vitola heavy because I was really. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but I had some interesting experiences across with Vitolas. So I actually have a box of all of them
Wow.
that I
wow,
eventually got. So yeah, and so I'll tell you which ones have none left and which ones have a few left. So um, as we kind of go through this, but I really enjoy it. I found it interesting though, because it was such a difference in price for those boxes, and it's unique because for Cohiba they're not terribly priced, right? And but the count of boxes is really obnoxious. It's all over the place. The Robusto and Toro come in boxes of 20, which make them $400 plus boxes.
Ooh.
And the Perfecto is a box of 10, which makes it like, $230, $240 box, which is nice. And then the Lancero comes in a box of 15, which makes it, a 230, 200, 225, 235 box. So, if you're looking to, you might want to start there, especially if Aaron Nielsen's watching, he likes to buy the box. So probably start with, the box of 10, box of 15, see if that's a tool that you like right off the bat. So interesting, fun facts. So,
Well, let's go ahead and I'm gonna cut the tip off of this so we could go ahead and get
yeah,
started. Let's just check the draw and notes.
Are you cutting with a meat cleaver, Ben?
No, it's a Bowie knife.
Okay, close enough.
Why that's such a ridiculous question, Trip.
It looked like
It's a
the
Bowie knife.
tip looks squared off, so I was confused.
No, look, here we go.
There we go. Just a
That's
normal
better.
cigar cutter. Yep. Gotcha.
For me, it is.
Ben, it is so apparent that you miss Texas, and I love it. I love it.
You
so
have
much.
you have absolutely no idea. There's something I always kind of get on the cold draw of this, and it's just weird. Like I even hate to even mention it, but it almost has a slight minty flavor to it.
Uh-huh.
Why?
A what flavor?
Slightly minty.
like spearmint
Minty.
or something.
I would call it a muted mint. It's almost like a wintergreen, right?
Mm.
And boy, and I'm not gonna say, but you guys know I had a cigar that really wreaked havoc on my palate earlier. But I'm glad you're saying that because I'm getting the same thing.
Well, when you were going there, Ben, I thought you were going to say something else, which I actually do also get on the dry draw. But you nailed it. I think it's wintergreen.
Yeah,
That's kind of on the finish. I get some sweetness on that first
it's
hits my palate,
yeah, I do too.
and it's kind of rich. And I think of like almost cherry Dr. Pepper, which I know Ben hates. So that's what he was like when he started that sentence. I was like, oh shit, this is funny because we're about to say the same thing, but.
No, negative, Ghost Rider. It's
right.
got, for a box press Lancero, I don't know about y'all, but my draw is perfect.
It
It's
is a
absolutely
nice
perfect.
draw. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Just enough resistance for me.
Mine might even be a little loose. And the cigar does not feel spongy, so it's
No,
not like
it's got a nice firm pack to it.
I don't really get much else on the cold draw except some cedar and earthiness. Do y'all
A
get
lot of
much
earth.
else?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm getting that wintergreen note to me.
toasting the foot. You want to get some notes off of this real quick here.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I get. It's almost like to me, it's a slight mintiness. It's almost got a little herbal mint kind of a thing, like a greenness to the mint, but really it's a lot of cedar. And really, earth is the dominant thing on this.
I toasted the foot a little bit, got a little bit of that aroma. It's very nice. Very got for me, I'm getting a lot of just like cedar. It's important to know that this wasn't aged.
Did you guys you guys are lighting up now?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm lighting
I
up
just
right now, actually.
Okay, well I was just
He
toasting
said
the foot,
toasting
but-
the foot, so I took that as lighting it.
Right, that's what.
Yeah. I'm gonna use the official lighter in Nicaragua.
Dick
Of course.
The Jeep.
Son of a bitch. Well, I would.
accessory to you.
Well, I got something a little bit classier than that. I've got
Oh, fancy boy here.
the
I,
new ST DuPont signature, courtesy of our good friends
eh,
at Coles of London, ST DuPont.
uh,
So
I'm actually doing the Slimmy.
the Slimmy,
Using, yeah, I'm using my Slimmy
Y'all are
tank.
yeah.
fancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Ben, I was really
I've been on an accessory buying kick lately on a lot of stuff. I think I've tripled the amount of accessories I've owned in the last year.
Good God.
I had a yeah. So cutters and lighters are just become. I'm tired of. I want good cutters and lighters going forward. I'm just tired of substandard stuff I've had. Free is exactly you get what you pay for free when you buy.
I like Bradley Burr.
Ben. After you light up, I wanted to get your take on the new ST DuPont signatures because I know you're a big ST DuPont fan, and you were obviously at the booth like the rest of us. Um, Pretty unique that they're putting their name on. They're putting their name on the signature. It's on the front of the front of the lighter now,
Yep.
which is never been
Yeah.
done by them
Yeah.
before. So
I mean, they're beautiful
Yep.
looking lighters for sure.
I love also I love the biggies kind of look like the line twos and stuff. And
They need to come out with a jet flame lighter that pings. To me, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, they really should.
There's no reason why you can't do it.
that'd be fun.
If Les is listening, Les, you need to come out with a a jet flame lighter that pings.
What would you call it? The jet ping?
I call it. You know what I'd call it? I know it sounds crazy. Maybe call it line 3.
Jetline.
Line three or line four? Yeah. Line two and a half.
No, they can't because I think line is actually soft flame, so they probably couldn't do that.
What's the Grand, right?
The ground is the dual.
yeah, so the Grand two or
The
something like that.
pingy.
The Pingy. Yeah, that's what they would nickname it.
The medium.
It's a MIDI.
But
Yeah.
I think it's good. And I've been saying this like I'm not a yellow gold fan, but I love this. I love this lighter. I
I
think
have a
it's
little yellow
gorgeous.
gold on this one too. Yeah.
It's just great.
This is like I said. This is perfect for Lancero because it's got a very small. It's a small flat flame. So this
I
was
love
perfect.
that flat flame, man.
Yeah.
So good.
I have really gotten hooked on those flat flames, especially for because this is more like a 36 I'm smoking probably right now, or we're smoking right now.
Yeah,
And
it
those
was
look
interesting.
nice. I like them.
I
Be nice.
I remember I didn't this wasn't done recently, so I'm might be testing something by testing my memory here, but I remember pretty vividly reading some reviews of this cigar last year when it was released, and I couldn't remember who it was. Sorry, it wasn't you. But
I
I
haven't
couldn't
read
remember who
it.
it
I haven't
was.
read
But
it. Yeah.
yeah, but I can't remember who it was. But I think they had three different. It might have been John because it sounds like something John would do. But they had like three different, couple different samples or whatever. Like each sample was a slightly different length, not quite seven, or one was seven, one was like six and like seven eighths, and like they were just slightly off.
It's either John or Half Wheel because they've been on
Yeah.
a kick with that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much it's worth my time to do that, but most cigars are like that, is what I'll tell you. They're gonna be off a quarter of an inch,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just
it's
it's
an
that
imperfect. It's a handmade product,
it's imperfect, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's more than if it's more than a quarter of an inch, then I think it's noteworthy. But
Yeah. Yeah, if it's 10/11s or something like that, then yeah,
yeah, yeah.
gonna really he's gonna really throw a fit about that. But
So,
but
what's everybody getting off the initial
there you go.
puffs of this cigar?
Started off really spicy. Like first puff was super spicy. And then it really died down pretty quick.
Yeah, I get a lot of the spice on the retrohale.
I was
It's
getting more
still,
spice than yeah. It's a
yeah,
and I
it's
have a little residual on the tongue. I can tell you that. There's a sweetness. definite sweetness coming off this. Still some of that wintergreen sweetness. It's like that sweet wintergreen I'm getting. I got a little pepper. I'm definitely getting some earthy notes.
Hmm.
It's almost like a red pepper though I'm getting on the retro.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little it's it's just kind of just wave. Like it kind of attacks your palate at
Yeah,
first to Trip's point. And then it dissipates. The finish so far on the retro is kind of medium though. It kind of lingers a little bit. So I'm wondering to see if it gets longer or gets shorter as the cigar progresses. That'll
yep.
be interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
To me, it's almost short. Like it's medium short for me on the finish.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would
But
call it.
I mean, that's about what I'm getting too. I get like hints of leather every now and then, but not very much. It's mostly what I kind of got in the cold draw. There's that woodiness. There's the earthiness is the main thing. I get a little bit of nondescript sweetness, a hint of the mint, and that's kind of it so far. Not too
I'm good.
much.
I'm getting a little licorice on mine.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of that.
I'm getting a
Um,
little of the leather that Ben's talking about too,
ooh, leather, yeah.
for sure.
There's an earthy note I'm getting off this, so it's very subtle, but I'm getting an earthy note off this.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, we'll go ahead and pause it here for YouTube, and we'll be back in just a minute to see how the first third went. See you in a second.
I was about to ash it, but firm. It's a nice start. It's a nice start. I'm
Hold
And
on,
hoping
Coop,
that
time out. Coop, we need to do the break, right?
okay,
Ben,
let's start.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep, we need to start it. Yep.
hey everybody, we're back, and we're still smoking the Cohiba Lancero. We're done with the first third, so let's see what we thought about it. Bear, what did you get off the first third?
It's interesting. The draw is loose at times, but it kind of tightens up in its own way. I don't think it's tunneling on me, because I've been trying to pay attention to it. But I'm still getting a plethora of smokes. I don't think it's tunnel, but I just feel like the draw just needs a little bit more push or a little bit more pull rather to get some smoke production, which is really interesting. But as far as flavors, getting a lot of that earth that we talked about. I'm getting some nuttiness, almost kind of like a toasted almond, toasted peanut, kind of with that earthiness. The wood is there. There's also some of that pepper spice, that blast of pepper that I got initially on the light and the subsequent like first impression has almost kind of dissipated with the exception of the retrohale for me. So um, Coop, you were talking about the construction and the ash. What other than
Yeah,
show us a
my
little bit about that and talk to us about your impression.
yeah, my ash just fell down, but I think the draw is spot on with this. It's not loose at all. It's got a little bit of a milkshake quality to it, as Ben would say. So I really like it. It's not a loose box press Lancero, and I was very concerned about that. The burn's been great. Like I said, I just dropped the ash. That was more user error, but I had a longer ash on it. I'm still getting a lot of that wintergreen sweetness off this cigar, and I'm hoping it doesn't become throw it off balance. That's what my concern is right now with it. I'm getting that licorice sweetness now for sure that you were talking about earlier. It's a black licorice sweetness, but nonetheless, it's a licorice sweetness. Some earthy notes. I'm getting, like I said, the red peppers. I'm definitely picking up more on the retrohale than on the tongue. But so far so good.
I agree with pretty much everything you guys said. That red pepper it's still there, but really on the retrohale is where you notice it.
Yes, yeah,
Um, there is still an element of spice on the palate, but really it's pretty tame. I mean, compared to when it
yeah.
started at least.
I
Um,
agree. Yeah,
that black licorice is on point. Like
yep.
I am getting specifically the sweetness for me is black licorice and brown sugar. Um, and then the earthiness, a little bit of that what did you call it? Toasted peanut bear? Um,
Yeah, toasted almond, toasted peanut. Yeah,
yeah,
it's more
there's definitely
peanutty for
some of
me.
that I'm getting. It reminds me more of peanut than almond. Um, yeah.
Same, same. Ben, what about you? Any nuttiness or like what are you getting?
Yeah, I was literally saying that as we were talking, I was getting a hint of it, but as I smoked, as getting closer to the midway point, I was actually getting more of that, like roasted peanut kind of flavored. And it's actually really nice. It really balances out this cigar. Now, for me, that mint note that we were getting originally is it's still there, but it's almost turned more vegetal to me. Not in a bad way, almost herbaceous. Not really vegetal, but more herbaceous. And it's kind of interesting, to be honest. Pretty complex flavors for this cigar, which is surprising. But overall, I'm kind of impressed with how the flavors are. They're so different. They're so different in the like food tasting spectrum that it's crazy that the way we're talking that this kind of seems to work. It kind of shouldn't if you think about it, but it's for me it's working pretty good. So not too bad. So anyway, we'll go ahead and smoke down to the second third. I'll be back to let you know what we thought of it. See you in a second.
We talk about Gurkha.
Everybody, we're back. We're going to talk about the second third of the Riviera Lancero. So, Coop, what did you think about the second third, even though you're kind of still in it here?
It's made that transition from wintergreen to this vegetal note, which I'm not as fond of. So it's definitely lost something with me. There's some of it's losing sweetness. The earthiness is getting more prominent. And the cigar is getting a little more mundane as I smoke this. Construction's fine. Burn and draw are fine. I would say this is still in the medium range as well for strength and body, but it's losing a little for me in the second third.
Gotcha. Trip, what about you?
Uh, um, Mine has picked up a little bit of uh almost bitterness. It's more of a like a charry kind of bitter. Um, Reminds me of like a really well-aged whiskey has that barrel bitter kind of note. I guess it's a woody bitterness, I'll call it. That kind of roasted peanut has turned into more of a roasted almond, like Bear said before. Um, and the spice for me is ramped up leading
Yeah,
up
the
to
ramp.
the third.
I'm getting more spice for sure.
Bear, what about you? How's your second third?
Um, it's spoken really fast, and what's interesting though, I had a complete just it completely went out on me, like almost mid puff. Like I was puffing on it and drawing a couple was really good 1 second, and then like I still had it in my hand, so it's not like I put it down, picked it up, and it was out. Like I puffed on it again, it was just gone, absolutely gone. Very interesting. You don't see that very often. Got to count against it. This usually I try not to I try not to like knock a point off of on relights in round tables just because we're doing a lot of talking. But that was absolutely obvious. So I gotta give a little knock off on that one. But for me on the flavor side, it's still kind of working things out a little bit. It's kind of trying to. I feel like this is a cigar that's trying to be a lot of different things. Like and normally I like complex cigars. I like non-complex cigars too, but I like complex cigars that kind of have me guessing in some of the flavors and they kind of work together in harmony. I wouldn't say that this cigar is not harmonious, but I wouldn't say this cigar is harmonious at the same time. So I'm still getting some of that almond, that toasted almond that I was getting earlier. This kind of weird kind of bitter herbbiness that you guys are talking about, it's starting to come in. It reminds me a little bit of lemongrass. There's this kind of brightness to it, but it's a little bitter, a little hot. So I'm trying to slow down, but I don't want it to go out on me again either. Just because it is a fast smoking cigar too, so I want to savor the flavors that are kind of working itself out and everything. But some breadiness is kind of creeping into, and the finish is starting to shorten up on me. I feel like it came out kind of medium, and then it's kind of shortened down a little bit, and then it's kind of a shorter finish. Ben, I know you and I like longer finishes. What kind of finish are you getting off of your second third, and what's your experience been like?
Exactly the same. I was sitting there thinking while I was puffing it, while I was talking with Coop, was like, man, this this has gotten a lot shorter of a on the
Yeah.
palate. Like it's just not lingering around at all hardly anymore. Like it was a medium to short in the beginning, but
Yes.
now it's
Now it's
like
yeah.
it's almost gone. Which once you blow the smoke out, it's like it's off the palate pretty shortly after that. Um, and we had talked about this in between our segments here, where the guys were talking about licorice. Well, I'm not I wouldn't say that I hate licorice. I hate shitty licorice. But now I know that like, really good quality licorice, it actually is pretty good. But I don't really have that in my flavor wheel in my head. And with that herbalness, that kind of mint that with the herbalness, what I was saying, it kind of reminds me of tarragon, a flavor of tarragon, which is like an herbal licoricey type of herb that is something I eat all the time, actually. Um, so I was getting that. I'm getting the cedar, the earthiness, the roasted nut, kind of toasted nut flavor. I still get that. It did pick up some more bitterness. Um, and I'm still getting the retrohales remain the same, which I thought was kind of interesting because of the to me, it's weird because the spice factor in this, the pepper spice, is almost like a roller coaster. It's weird because like it was high at the beginning, then the tail down and then it
Yeah.
started coming back up again. It's just weird. Like, I've never had that really before, but it's almost like a roller coaster or a sine wave if you're still a nerd. But it's pretty unique, but it's I don't know. It's almost like it seemed more harmonious with these flavors kind of in the first third, but now on the second third, it's almost like it's getting a little bit disjointed. Almost like the flavors are still okay, but they're not really meshing as well in the second third as they were in the first. It's just kind of odd, but I mean it's still going okay. For me it hasn't gone out. The burn is really good. Even for a box press, my burn line is actually really nice. It somewhat even for a box press. I know Jose Blanco hates box presses because they don't burn right, but this one's not too bad for me. So, I mean, so far it's been okay, but I'm curious to see what the final third is like. So, anyway, we'll go ahead and pause it here for YouTube, and we'll be back in a second to let you know our final conclusions and give you our score. See you in a second. Hey everyone, we're back. We're done with the final third, so we're going to go ahead and talk about what we thought about it and give you our conclusions, and then we'll come back around and we'll give you our scores at the end. So, Bear, what did you think of the final third?
Well, I've smoked this down to my fingertips, guys. There's literally nothing left in this. And I thought the final third was a lot more interesting actually than the second third. I was kind of waiting and anticipation is that kind of herbal note that we've been talking about was starting to creep in with a little acrid flavoring, started a little bit hot. Coop noted that this cigar burned cool, and I agreed with about the entire first third, most of the second third, and it started to warm up for me. But in the final third, again, the theme of this cigar tonight has just been oddly complex. It's a little like has an identity crisis. It's all over the place. It cooled off again, so it didn't burn hot on me. So good on that. I finished down to my fingertips, like you saw, and there was this buttery creaminess that kind of creeped into the final third. That was an interesting note. Some graham cracker, so some interesting breadiness to go along with some of those woody and earthy notes that we've been talking about. The leatherness kind of returned, and then that kind of anise, fennel, licorice note kind of capped off my experience. The finish ended up pretty short. Tried to retro the heck out of it. Was still getting some of that red pepper note that we talked about, but the blast that we got on the initial light, far from just far removed, and it was just a short finish for me. As you guys know, that's not how I like my finishes. I like my finishes medium to long. I prefer it longer, so the short was rather finish. It was a mixed bag in the final third, but interesting how it kind of came back. Not a crescendo of flavor as everyone has anticipated us to say, but an interesting comeback, I'll say, in the final third for me.
Interesting. So, Coop, what did you get the final third?
This herbal note got very clove-like with me. Got a little pungent at times.
Oh, that's
Got a little bitter at times. I'm picking up the wood and the earthy notes. The pepper has increased a little. It is burning a little warmer. I'll give you definitely giving that, but the sweetness is gone with this. It's very it's kind of this is not something I'm like looking to go down to the nub with, to be honest with you. So it's kind of been definitely not a crescendo flavor with me. Barry, you mentioned the word odd complex. There is some level of complexity with this cigar. I do agree on that. It's a little more complex, and for Lancero, it's actually delivering pretty good.
And
But I don't know. To me, this clove note is not wowing me. And then that's what it's like I said. I look at that clove note. It has, that pungent and kind of bitterness. It's not harsh, though, is what I'll say. It's not a harsh cigar. So that's the one thing that's kind of saving this.
That's interesting because I didn't get clove, but I actually love the flavor of clove. But I can see where you're coming from with that, though. But
Yeah.
Trent, what about the final third for you? What did you get out of it?
Coop mentioned clove, which wasn't a note that I thought of, but I was like, yeah, that is kind of reminiscent of what I'm tasting.
Yeah.
For me, the final third kind of turned into the sweetness kind of in the middle of the final third, the sweetness fell off a cliff and was just
Yeah.
completely gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it started to pick up like this leathery bitterness that just kept escalating until I put it
Yep.
down.
Yep.
Um, so for me, the first third was kind of the sorry, first third was good, second third was good, final third was really not great for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is where I'm at. I mean, I never
yeah,
smoked this far down, and I'll be honest, I didn't smoke it this far down just because I like the cigar. It's just trying to figure out these flavors on the final third for me, right? It got to be very uh more simplistic on the final third. Like I was basically getting the cedar, earthiness, a little bit of leather, and it got a bitterness at the end. There. You're right. For me. There's no sweetness whatsoever on the end. I get just a hint of pepper spice, but it's super faint. It's really faint. The retrohale is almost the same kind of like I get more of the pepper spice, a little bit of nuttiness on the retrohale. I'm getting no nuttiness at all in the final third either. That's completely gone. It got to be really simplistic, and it got super salty. It's super hard to hold even before this. When I got to the final third, it just got to be really mushy. But
Yeah.
and
Actually, mine's got the
it did
soft too.
burn
Yeah.
hotter. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
It did
burning
burn
hotter.
hotter. Yeah. It burned hotter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't end on a good note for me. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. It was kind of mediocre, kind of in between. So let's go around and go ahead and do these final scores, and we'll go in the same order. Bear, what would you score this cigar?
um, it's interesting. I said that I was going to talk about this cigar a little bit more in detail, so I'm going to take this opportunity to do it. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I really went Vitola heavy on this particular cigar. This is a blend that I really enjoyed from its initial release. Started with the Toro. Was really fascinated by it. Wanted to see what it would do it in a shorter format. Bought the Robusto. Wanted to see what it would do in a more complex format, and then bought it in the Perfecto. And of course, they released the Lancero, which I ended up getting a box of too, which is this cigar is from, which has been aged a year. This Vitola specifically is vastly different than the other three, and as you would probably imagine. But the notes, the complexity is just so. Again, they're not. It's not harmonious, but it's not disharmonious either. So it's not so discombobulated that you're just like all over the place and you're like you're taken into so many different directions that makes it a non-enjoyable cigar. But for me, it just kind of was like almost trying to identify itself. And because it smoked so fast, I think it also really, really kind of hindered the experience for me too. I much, much prefer the other Vitolas. Much to Coop's delight, I'm sure me ragging on Lancero a little bit will probably bring him a little bit of joy. But that being said, I think the cigar is very good. The blend I think is very good. And I enjoyed some of the flavor notes that you get a lot of. The peanut that lasted for a while. I just want I want the finish to last longer on a cigar. So I subtract points for that in terms of my enjoyment level. The kind of discombobulation a little bit kind of made it a little bit hard for me to say I really enjoyed the smoking experience. It's pretty consistent with the cigars from this Vitola and this box that I've smoked over the last year. So I will say that age hasn't made it better, but it hasn't made it worse either. So for me, um, again, enjoyable cigar. I will finish up this box, and I probably won't buy another one of this particular Vitola. But that being said, I love the blend, and I think overall, I think the blend's a pretty big home run for Cohiba. Really enjoyed it overall. But for this cigar tonight and the Lancero, I'm gonna have to give it an 87.
That's about right. And yeah, I forgot to bring that up too on the last of the final third too. I thought it was the shortest finish of all the thirds. It was almost completely gone. The smoke goes, the flavor's gone on mine. So I forgot to mention that, but when you brought that up, it brought that back to mind. So, two, what would you score this cigar?
Started out good. It just progressively deteriorated along the way. Got less interesting in the second third, and then that final third was definitely fell off the cliff once the sweetness fell down and that those clove and those bitter notes emerged. It did not have good balance in the second half of the cigar, that's for sure. Construction was fine. Construction was fine. I have no issues with the construction. I think this is a classic case of they had to get tobaccos in the Lancero and something had to give, right? So I think it's missing something from the other Vitolas. It is not a cigar I would reach for or buy again. Would I say I'd say try it, if you like it. But I'm going 86 with it. And it was a construction that probably gave it a couple more points there with that. So uh but yeah, it's like I said, I'm gonna tell someone reach for the one of the other sizes before this one.
Yeah, agreed. Trim, what do you think about it? What would you score it?
I agree with what everybody else said. For me, the first two thirds were pretty nearing great. They were very good, nearing great. Final third really killed it for me. It just kind of, for me, became a muddled mess of flavors, most of which weren't as very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like that bitterness, that uh, not harshness,
Right, it wasn't
like you,
harsh. That's a key thing, yeah.
just kind of off flavors that I didn't enjoy as much. That leather that was like overpoweringly leathery for me. Um, Finish, like you guys mentioned, was bizarrely short in the final
I
third.
was fine with the short finish, because I'm not a short finish guy. I like the aromas and stuff better. I don't like it lingering on the
Yeah.
tongue for a long time, especially with this
Um,
flavor profile.
I think I'll score it an 86. It This could have been a like a high 80s, but that final third killed it. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, this one's weird, right? So I kind of like what Bear was saying. I have a box of the Toro. The Toro is far superior to the Lancero. It
Yeah,
is
yeah.
almost a
Yeah.
different blend. It's I
I
love it. Like
I think
I'm
they pulled
talking,
tobacco out. I think they pulled tobacco out. That's why.
yeah, I think you're right. I think what
Yeah,
they did to shorten, the ring gauge of this, it basically you kind of pulled the soul out of it in the Lancero.
yeah.
Could have been a Lonsdale.
Yeah, I mean,
Could have
yeah,
been a
that would have been
Lonzo.
better.
Could have been a Corona.
But I was thinking of an analogy, kind of way these flavors are, and the way we would kind of talk about it. Like I was saying, it's almost like a sine wave where these flavors are coming through. But it's weird. It's almost to me, it's almost like in the beginning, it's a harmonious kind of a blend with some of the flavors, even though the
Hmm.
flavors seem wacky when they're mixing with each other. So what I'm saying it's almost like a closed umbrella, right? And in the second and third comps, it's like you're opening that umbrella, and the flavor is just kind of like they just kind of separate, and it's not
They
as
go in every
enjoyable.
direction.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird, you know? I mean, and I'll be honest, I like a box press cigar. I do enjoy it, but in a Lancero, I don't like a box press.
It's
I
weird.
I
Yeah.
I think this would be better in just a regular Parejo, round cigar. I don't know. I did enjoy it in the box press. I wish it wasn't a box press, but I know the whole line is like that. It's box press. So I'm assuming the Perfecto is box press too, right?
It
Because there
is.
it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I get why they did it. It's interesting, but I just don't. It's too small. I don't think it should be a box press with that small of a ring gauge. I mean, I just think they probably, honestly, a line step would have been cool. And
Yeah.
you could have box pressed that; it would have been okay, I think. But I don't know, man. Like the final third was just not that great for me. It lost so much. It was kind of, I don't know. It got to be more bitter kind of flavors, with the leather and the earth. And it really lost it the final third. Got hot and mushy. Mm, but here's my thing too. I was kind of struggling with the score a little bit because I'm trying to think, am I grading it on just the experience of the Lancero, or am I also comparing it in my head unintentionally to the Toro, which I know is vastly superior? But I'm going to give it an 87, just because I think it's kind of interesting. As weird
Like
as
it's
those
not
notes
bad,
sound. No, it's not
Yeah.
bad. It's not
but
bad.
it
The
gets kind of
notes from
bad
that we got are a
eventually.
little bit weird. They
Yeah.
sell like if I was making something to feed my family with these flavors, to be like, what is this? It's kind of weird, but it works. It's just something odd, right? But it's kind of it's interesting enough for me to keep smoking it, right? But like Coop said, I wouldn't go seek this out. I would never buy this, right? The Toro is so vastly superior, and I don't think I've had the Robusto. I feel like I have, but I don't really remember that. I think the Perfecto might be interesting, but the Toro is so vastly superior to this cigar. I would never touch this one. Like I don't see how these would sell that well, but I mean, I just can't explain how different this cigar is in a larger ring gauge. You know what? Some blends just work better in larger ring gauges. Some work better in a smaller one. This is just one that works. The more that tobacco filler you have, just I don't know, the better it tastes. Because the Toro is, you're talking 90 plus for me on the Toro. It's that big of a
Yeah.
gap for me.
Mhm.
You know,
It's a much different cigar. I'd love to get Coop. I don't know if you've had the other Vitolas.
yeah,
And
I mean, the other ones were high 80s, for me, like 88, 89s, those other ones. They're and which are better scores. I would definitely, I mean, I wouldn't mind reaching for a Toro or a Robusto once. I wasn't as high on the Perfecto, actually. That was the other one I didn't really care for, but the Perfecto was still better than this one. There's a cigar it kind of is underrated today, but when it came out, it was great. The Guillermo Leon signature.
Oh, hell
Mm.
yeah.
yeah,
And
Yes.
there was Drapers in Bethesda got a shop exclusive of a Lancero of that. And that was a case of absolutely the blend just did not work in the Lancero. They should have never did a
that sucks.
Lancero with it because I could tell they pulled the tobaccos. It just wasn't the same. So,
I remember
yeah,
that, but that was when the Lancero craze was in its full bloom.
that was yeah,
Everybody wanted a damn Lancero, and people were just throwing Lanceros out there.
yeah. It was
I
everyone was
remember
doing
that.
it, and yeah, exactly. Um, STG doesn't do a lot of Lanceros, and they haven't had great success with their Lanceros. The ones, I mean, you remember the Disciple they did in the Lancero? I didn't think that was a epic Lancero. I just don't think they've had good success with Lanceros.
It was better than this cigar,
Which one?
the
And the one we
Disciple.
just smoked.
Okay.
Disciple was better than this Cohiba
The
Lancer.
Disciple was better. I agree. Yes, it was better.
But
And that's a Justin cigar. So
but I love it in the other. I love this cigar and the other Vitolas. The
it's not my
Perfecto,
favorite. It's not my favorite Cohiba line, to be honest with you.
the Perfecto, the journey is a lot. the blend kind of is it, the complexity of the blend really kind of shines, I think, in the Perfecto in a lot of ways because you're just taking on a natural journey because of the construction of the cigar. That being said, it's still not my favorite Vitola of the four. Um, but I want to go back to the fact like it's so all over the place in terms of the market. The Lancero is the cheapest. 14.99 for Lancero, guys, on a Cohiba brand. That's pretty damn immaculate in terms of
Yeah.
pricing. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's a
very
great price for a
approachable.
Cohiba. I would think so, yeah.
Yeah. And the high end is the Toro. You're talking 27 to 29, sub $30. Again, when we're talking about Cohiba, we're talking about today's market where everyone's kind of releasing that 30 plus. This is a luxury brand for General. So you got to think, wow, wow, that's it really kind of hits in a lot of ways. And for me, I really love the blend. But I was disappointed. Again, you're talking four different filler leaves, two from Honduras, two from Nicaragua, and trying to put that into a box press Lancero where you already have to take tobacco out to get the airflow right. Like they just probably sacrificed too much, is what it really ended up being.
Yeah, yeah. That Robusto made the Cigar Aficionado list last year.
Hmm?
It actually made the list. It was number 20.
Oh, I forgot about that.
They did. They did. Yeah. Which
Well, I'm curious. Going off of that, Bear, you've had all of them. Which
Yeah.
one's your favorite? What Vitola is your favorite?
Um, it's really hard between those two, the Toro and the Robusto, but I probably have to give the edge to the Robusto.
Okay,
Um,
I need to
just
try
to say,
that.
I
I
think
think the Toro is a slight edge. Even though the Robusto is one I reviewed, I give the Toro a slight edge.
the Toro for me is nice. What you'll like about it, Ben, or you love it, Ben, since you've had it. What I compare the like, even though it's a shorter cigar, that cooling smoke that Coop note about it on the Lancero, and you probably remember from your experience with the Toro, the smoke stays really cool in that Toro. It stays really cool in the Robusto too. So that's a characteristic that actually is really it really goes throughout all four Vitolas for me. And when you can get that kind of cool smoke that is reminiscent of more like a Churchill, that cooling smoke effect. If you can get that in a shorter experience, it's such a unique experience. And for me, the flavors are really cool. I really liked it. But I mean they're so fucking close. I mean it's really hard. Um, and I mean the price difference isn't that crazy either. Um, and I mean in terms of like the two different prices, I mean it's like a $3 difference per cigar. So I mean for those economists out there, Toro's worth it $3 more because you're going to get more cigar with it. But for you Robusto smokers are also you're not getting gypped.
Yeah, I kind of been on a Robusto kick lately, honestly. I've been smoking so many Toros that like I've been just thinking that, I need something a little bit smaller, a little bit quicker with smoke. And so I've just been kind of gravitating to everything in Robusto lately. So it's definitely, we don't have them at the shop now here in Nashville, B&B Tobacconist, but maybe when I go to Greenville or Charlotte next, I'll seek it out because I'm interested to try the Robusto in this to see how it compares. 'Cause I really do love the Toro. I love the blend too. I really do. I like this blend a lot. So I would like to try it honestly, I would like to try it in the Perfecto to just have all of them, just try them all because I am curious. Just because the vast difference between this Lancero and the Toro, I mean, honestly, man, it's like night and day to me. I mean, I think it's further apart than what Coop was saying to me. I mean, I don't know, man. The Lancero is okay. Man, Toro is something nice. I really do enjoy the Toro. Even at that price point, I mean, that price point's getting really crowded now. So at that point, you're in Padron, past Davidoff White Label. Even the new stuff from Maltodis that came out this year is absolutely stunning stuff. So when you get to that point, you better bring it, that
Hmm.
price point,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I think that about wraps it up for this review. So anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe. And on that note, we'll see you next time.